G'day guys, Fitcho here and welcome back to my F1 2018 Fitcho Career. We're here for episode number 3 and the third and final race of the weekend here at Silverstone for the opening round of the European Formula 3 Championship. And as you can see, here on the Sunday morning, the heavens have opened, the rain is falling. Typical Britain, I guess you can say, and we were quite lucky to get 2 dry races in yesterday on the Saturday. And if you did miss either of those 2 races, episode 1 and 2 of this series, make sure you do go check them out. There'll be a card in the top right hand corner of the screen. And we also got the qualifying sessions in nice dry conditions on the Friday. And just flashing back to those qualifying sessions, and specifically the third and final one that sets the grid for today's race, Ralph Aron took a third pole position from 3 races, a clean sweep of pole positions here at Silverstone. A good start to the season for the Estonian driver, and Robert Schwartzman joins him on the front row of the grid yet again, so the exact same front row of the grid for all 3 races so far at Silverstone. A PREMA front row lockout for all 3 races, which is a little bit crazy. On the second row of the grid is Yuri Vips and Mick Schumacher, only 11 thousandths of a second separating those two, with Alex Palau starting out of 5th place. He had a good qualifying session for race 1. He struggled for qualifying in race 2, and now he's getting himself back up the order a little bit for race number 3. He's been a little bit all over the place, the experienced Spaniard, let's say, and he's joined by Dan Ticktum, the Red Bull Jr., on that third row of the grid. That's Marcus Armstrong and Inam Ahmed in 7th and 8th. Then you find myself here in 9th place. Not the best qualifying session, better than our qualifying session for race 1, not quite as good as we did in qualifying for race number 2, but I'm not too displeased with where I am on the grid here for this race. Being in 9th place, being in an odd numbered grid position, means I'm on the outside for turn number 1, and I actually kind of prefer that here at Silverstone with the fast turn 1. I prefer to be on the outside. I can just send it around the outside rather than sort of being squished by everyone onto the curb up on the inside, and it can get a little bit tricky when you do start on the inside line at Silverstone. So I'm actually quite happy with where I am on the grid, and I'm joined by my teammate Guan Yu Zhou there in 10th place. Then you have Sasha Fenestra as the Carlin in 11th place, and the championship leader Jehan Daruvla is starting out of 13th place. So both Carlins have really fallen down the order for the third and final qualifying session. Not too sure what happened there, of course. They started every race in the top 6, if not the top 5. I can't exactly remember. To be starting out of 11th and 13th, those two, is quite surprising, and they are split by Jonathan Aberdeen, and they also have one of their other 2 teammates, Ferdinand Habsburg, starting out of 14th place. Just quickly, before we do get this race underway, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe with notifications on. Without further ado, let's go racing. Here we go, we're on the grid at Silverstone, the lights are coming on, and we are ready to race. That's lights out, and away we go. Race number 3 of the weekend is underway, trying to get the best start we possibly can in some very difficult conditions. A fair bit of wheel spin, but it hasn't been the worst start in the world. Trying to give a little bit of space to the teammate up our inside. I think that is Guan Yu Zhou. Oh, he's hit us off the track. He's hit us off the track down in turn number 3. He just came across us on the braking zone, but we've sort of recovered quite nicely considering we ended up off the circuit there. I'm not too sure if that was my fault or his. It felt more like his fault at the time, but I'll have to watch a replay to really judge it, as Inam Ahmed, I think that's Marcus Armstrong, are really going at it through Aintree, and they had made me have to check up a little bit in behind him. Can I get up the inside of the high-tech Bullfrog down into Brooklands? Yes, I can. An aggressive move, but we do get that done. Now up into 8th place, and this has been a hectic start in some wet conditions, but it looks like Robert Schwartzman has taken the lead from Ralph Aron, and Mick Schumacher has gotten past Yuri Vips. So there's a PREMA 1-2-3 as we head down the old pit straight. End of lap number 1, and Robert Schwartzman leads across the line. We are up into P8, 1 position made up, and we're now trying to hunt down our teammate Marcus Armstrong, who's also just trying to get a feel for these conditions, which are quite tricky. Like I said in the intro, we've just been thrown into the deep end, no sort of experience in these conditions, but it looks like the field is staying fairly bunched up as we go a little bit deep into that hairpin, a little bit of a lock-up on the brakes. Now, that's something I'm struggling with quite a lot. The brakes really do like to lock up here, as there are a few braking zones here where you have got a little bit of steering input in the car, and that does make it ever so a lot more easier, let's say, to lock up. Ooh, getting a little bit sideways on the curb through Copse. On the Exeter Copse. These conditions are quite tricky, but I have found I'm still quite quick through the Maggots and Beckett's complex. I'm still struggling around the opening half of the lap. We are starting to close up a little bit to Marcus Armstrong on lap number 2. It's saying the gap is about 0.4 of a second. So we actually set a purple sector, but in these conditions we're not going to get any aid of DRS, so it's old old-fashioned proper racing, I guess you could say, here in Silverstone for this race. The elbows are going to have to come out just a little bit, I do believe. Well, they are already out, let's be honest, with our move on Inam Ahmed. And what happened between us and Guan Yu Zhou down into turn number 3. At the end of lap number 3, Schwartzman is still leading this race, and it's still a PREMA 1-2-3 with Aron and Schumacher there in 2nd and 3rd. Oh, yellow flags are out for something somewhere in the pack, but it doesn't look to be up ahead of us, and virtual safety car is actually out, and Guan Yu Zhou is out of the race. Our teammate, not too sure what has happened to our Chinese teammate there, but he is out of race number 3 here at Silverstone. Very unfortunate for the PREMA team. We have 3 cars at the front of the field, and another one is out. Right, we are back to green flag racing. We actually lost a little bit of time with that VSC restart as I went a little bit too quick through Maggots and Beckett's. And I just had to check up a little bit, and that hurt me on the restart. Now we have a little bit more ground to make up to Marcus Armstrong. Oh, into Compton, really closing up to our teammate now. As we get a little bit sideways on the curb. Is now down into Maggots and Beckett's. We're right in behind our teammate, tucked in under his rear wing a little bit, but there's just not much we can do through this section of the circuit. Is back onto the power we go, out through Chapel, onto the hangar straight. We're going to go up to Rich Fuel Mix, into the slipstream of Armstrong. We've got the run, and we should be able to move ourselves up into 7th place, up into Stowe. Conservative on the brakes, up the inside, and a nice textbook move, and up into 7th. And now we can start hunting down this big train at the front, and Dan Ticktum in particular, who is right at the back of it. Decent run through Maggots and Beckett's, and we're closing up to Dan Ticktum in his slipstream. Are we close enough to try something up into Stowe? I think we are. A big dive up the inside of the motor park, and he can do nothing to stop that. A beautiful move, and now up into the top 6 we go. And we can start hunting down Alex Palau, and we're really closing up to this big train, and we're picking our way through it at a decent-ish pace. We're finally starting to pick up our pace just a little bit as we set another fastest lap of the race. But we're now already on to lap 7 of 13, halfway through this race already. Oh, we're right on the back of Palau now as we head through the loop back onto the power, tippy-toeing on that pedal out through Aintree. A bit of a slide, and that's actually hurt our run. Is into the slipstream, down the Wellington straight we go. Are we going to be close enough up the inside of Brooklands? No, we're not. That little slide, I think, really did hurt us, getting up his inside, and now we're just going to have to wait until Maggots and Beckett's, or out of Maggots and Beckett's, I should say, out onto the hangar straight. I think Jeff's just saying the weather's actually going to stay the same, and that's what the forecast did say that I read before this race. We're catching up to Plows. We head up to Cops. So there's just nothing we can do here. We just have to sit in behind him patiently and wait till the Wellington straight. I don't want to force anything too aggressive in these really treacherous conditions here at Silverstone, so we're just going to be patient in behind that high-tech Bullfrog. Is now through Maggots and Beckett's onto the power. Out through Chapel we go, onto the Wellington straight in his slipstream, trying to get the best run we possibly can. We're using Rich Fuel Mix and Overtake ERS mode, and we're just going to launch it up his inside like we did on Ticktum. And there's not much he can do. He tries to hang it around or outside, but he can't make that work, and we now move ourselves up into the top 5. Oh, we're right on the back of Yuri Vips, heading up into Stowe. He was quite slow there on the apex. So we're about to come to the end of lap number 9, and then we'll have 4 laps left of race number 3. So we have a bit of a slide there through that left-hander, and that's really hurt us. And now we have Palau right up behind us yet again, but I don't think he's quite close enough to challenge us. So we have 4 laps to go at Silverstone, cutting that corner ever so slightly. It's still Schwartzman leading from Ralph Aron and Mick Schumacher, so a PREMA lockout of the podium if it were to end as it is right now. But Yuri Vips is doing everything he can to change that in 4th place, and I'm doing everything I can to make it a PREMA top 4. Coming out of the loop and through Aintree, a little bit of wheel spins. We're closing up to Yuri Vips into his slipstream. I don't think we're actually going to be quite close enough. I thought I was going to be as we were coming through the loop, but we've just lost it a little bit, getting a bit sideways through the fast left onto that straight. We're just going to have to wait a little bit longer as we are really harassing that motor park right now, trying to get a good run out of Luffield into his slipstream. Can we actually try something into Comps? This will be super aggressive. Up the inside of Comps in the wet, but we're going to try it. Up the inside of Yuri Vips. He tries to hold it around or outside, but he can't do that, and we move ourselves up into P4, making a PREMA top 4, which is absolutely mental. Just over a lap to go here at Silverstone. We are hunting down our teammate Mick Schumacher, trying to get up onto the podium, but we're just not quite close enough at the moment to launch anything too aggressive. We really close up through the middle of Stowe, but you just can't make a move once you're already committed into that corner, turning in and whatnot. So we have to wait a little bit longer. I think possibly into Stowe on the last lap is going to be our only chance to try to snatch a podium, as it looks like Schwartzman has actually pulled out over a second lead here as we are now moving on to the final lap of the race. I'm going to try my best to get past Schumacher, but I don't want to compromise a PREMA top 4 in this race. I don't want to do anything as aggressive as how I was racing like Vips, Palau, and so whatnot. You know what I mean. I'm losing my words, as you can see. I'm fighting the car just a little bit. That's taking a bit more of my focus through that corner. I had a little bit of a slide, and now I'm losing it a little bit through Aintree. And I think this is my chance of a podium done. Just made a couple too many mistakes through that section of the circuit. As we are on this final lap, we're going to try our best to close up through these next few corners. Maggots and Beckett's is where we really close up time. And if we can get a good run through there, we might just have a shot at a podium place. Oh, we've really closed up through Comps, so we just got a little bit sideways on the curb. We understeered a little bit through there, and that hurt us ever so slightly as the back end's trying to come around to me, and now I've just gone way too wide into that left-hander, and that is our chance gone. We really mucked up our run, pushing a little bit too hard in these conditions, just going a little bit too hard, and the car just saying no more. We managed to hold on to it, thankfully, but we're not going to be close enough to make a move on to the podium, and now it's just going to be single file to the end. PREMA formation to the line to take a 1-2-3-4 finish here in the final race of the weekend at Silverstone. Robert Schwartzman is going to win his first race of the season. Ralph Aron coming home in second place. Mick Schumacher in third. And then it's myself crossing the line for fourth place. So, Robert Schwartzman has won race number 3 here at Silverstone, leading home a PREMA 1-2-3-4 with Ralph Aron in second place, Mick Schumacher in third place, and finally myself there in fourth place. Very difficult conditions here in the intermediate conditions with a bit of rain on the circuit. Of course, we hadn't experienced these conditions all qualifying sessions, and both the first 2 races were nice, sunny and dry, so a big change of weather for this final race, and the PREMA boys came out on top. I did struggle a little bit in the opening phase of the race with these conditions. Once I sort of got a feel for it, I started to pick my way up through the field, getting past Armstrong, getting past Yuri Vips, and getting past Palau. Of course, Palau finishing there in 5th place. He did get past Yuri Vips in the end. Of course, Yuri, we got up his inside into Comps, a very aggressive move there on the Estonian. I think he tried to hang it around or outside, but he got a bit sideways on the curb, got a bit hung out to dry, and Palau was there to pounce on that and take away that 5th place. Then it was Dan Ticktum in 7th place. Marcus Armstrong coming home in 8th place with Enam Ahmed, I should say. And that is Jonathan Aberdine rounding out the top 10. And our points leader going into this race, Jehan Daruvula, did not score a single point. He qualified 13th and only finished 11th with Sasha Fenestraz there in 12th, his teammate. Both those Carlins, they had great pace in race number 1 and race number 2. Daruvula on the podium twice, but in the third race, wet conditions, they seem to have lost all that pace and didn't even make the points. Then they had Ferdinand Habsburg, one of their other 2 teammates, in 13th place, and then Fabio Scherer in 14th. Sophia Flörsch finished in 15th place. Then it was Nikita Troitsky, followed by the other 3 VARs of Ben Hindley, Kayvan Andres, and Artem Petrov. And then, of course, our teammate Guan Yu Zhou did not finish this race. So, round number 1 of the championship is in the books, and Ralph Aron leads the way with 47 points to his name, 6 points more than myself, who sits there in 2nd place. And Yuri Vips in 3rd place with 36 points, just 3 points ahead of Jehan Daruvula, who of course led after the first 2 races after getting 2 podium finishes, but he didn't actually manage to make the points in today's 3rd and final race at Silverstone. Marcus Armstrong sits there in 5th place, and Robert Schwartzman jumps all the way up to 6th. After 2 non-point scoring results, he won in race number number 3, bagging him 25 points, putting him equal with Inam Ahmed, battling over 6th place. And it's Mick Schumacher, Dan Ticktum, and Sasha Fenestraz rounding out the top 10. And now at the end of the first round, it seems like a good chance to look at the other 2 championships that we do have here at play. Obviously, we have the drivers, which is as you expect, and we also have the teams championship. Now, this is pretty standard. The only thing you have to remember is only the top 2 cars from each team score points in each race. But still, even with that, it is absolute PREMA domination in this championship. 115 points to PREMA Theodore Racing. Motorpark in second place only have 50 points. PREMA have over double the second place team already after only 3 races, and that's including only just counting the points from the top 2 finishing cars, which is absolutely crazy. But the battle for second is quite close between Motorpark and Carlin, 3 points separating them, with High Tech a further 10 points back, and Van Amersfoort is still yet to score any points. And now to the third and final championship that we do have at play, which is the one that's probably the most confusing here at of the lot, and that is the Rookies Championship. Now, the way this works is, let's look at today's race results. Robert Schwartzman won, Ralph Ron Schumacher in second and third, and myself in fourth. So Schwartzman got 25 points. He gets 25 points for the Drivers' Championship and for the Teams' Championship. Ralph Ron, he came second. He gets 18 points for the Drivers' Championship and the Teams' Championship, as he is one of the top 2 Premas on the field. I get 12 points for my 4th place. That goes to the Drivers' Championship, not the Team's Championship, because I'm not in the top 2 Premas. Now, if we go across to the rookie race results, I'm going to put the 3 rookie race results on your screen right now. So the way that works is they take the race results and they take out every driver that isn't a rookie, and that leaves us with 12 drivers in the field. So I move up from 4th to 2nd because Ralph Ron and Schumacher are not rookies. So I end up getting 18 points for the Rookies Championship only. That's the important thing to remember. So I get 12 points towards the Drivers' Championship, none to the Teams' Championship because I wasn't in the top 2 Premas, but I get 18 points to the Rookies Championship because I was the 2nd rookie to finish on track. So when you add up all that from the first 3 races, excluding all the drivers that aren't rookies, you get me actually sitting on top, 1 point ahead of Yuri Vips, I should say, 53 points to 52, with Marcus Armstrong in 3rd place, 10 points back off Yuri. Then Inam Ahmed, Sasha Fenestraz, Robert Schwartzman, Sophia Flörsch actually up in 7th place. Some of the VARs obviously scoring points because only 2 drivers miss out on points in the rookies races. And then you've got Troitsky, Aberdeen, Shearer, Artem Petrov, and Ben Hindley still not scoring points, not even in the Rookies Championship. He is not having the start to the season that he wanted. Hopefully I explained the Rookies Championship clear enough, and we're only going to address teams and rookies probably the end of each round, but we'll keep track of the drivers after every single race, because that's the one that we are really focusing on right now. Ralph Aron sits atop that, and I'm not too far back in 2nd place as we head into round number 2, as we head to France. Paul Ricard, normally it would be Pau, such a great track that, and obviously a classic F3 event. We can't have that with the F1 game, but I felt we still needed a race in France, so we're heading to Paul Ricard, and that is a fun track to drive, provides good racing, and hopefully will be a good weekend, and we'll get that round started up very, very soon. But that's going to do it for this video today, guys. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure you do leave a like. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe, hit that bell button, turn those notifications on so you know every time I do upload a video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.